Daredevil, Doctor Strange, Scorpion, Doc Ock.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
To Disney Plus. What'd you say your name was again?
We're gonna have different takes on classic characters.
You got a name, hero?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm Peter Parker. How about you?
Nice to meet you, Pete. I'm Nico Minoru.
Hey, Pearl. Hey, Lonnie.
Feel free to take a few notes on your way out, Pete.
And I'm here because
Come on, Spidey.
It's really fun and exciting.
What the?
And action-packed.
We're doing something a little different.
Thanks.
It's so of the now, but also vintage.
It's bringing a lot of things to the table that those other Spider-Man shows may not have been able to do.
Oh, this is gonna be awesome. It's still Spider-Man that you know and love. This is the first day of the rest of your life.
Spider-Man.
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 Everyone knows Spider-Man.
That's me, by the way. I'm Spider-Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's the first Spider-Man show from Marvel Studios, and we're so invested towards making this the standout Spider-Man show.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my!
The training wheels are off, so to speak.
One era that this series is going to explore is the 60s aesthetic that Steve Ditko put on the page so well.
It's a comic book come to life.
The animation is so cool to me. I really love the style of it.
Expect the unexpected.
With my help, we'll achieve greatness.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel dropped a brand new Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man trailer because the series is dropping episodes starting next week. I will be doing videos for it, so if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get episodes. Also got a lot of requests for more face cam in videos. I will be doing more face cam in the near future. There's a bunch of new footage and characters here, so we'll break it all down. I know there are a lot of questions about some of them, like, is this a version of Venom, or is this actually Shathra from the comics, from the astral plane, who just feeds on spider totems? Are they doing the spider totem stuff from the comics? Most of the episode titles that they released here, this is actually the full schedule of episodes when they're releasing. They're going to release it all within the course of a month. But all the titles are either based on specific comic book arcs, specific comic book titles, or lines of dialogue from old school comics. Really good example is episode 1, Amazing Fantasy, which is from Amazing Fantasy number 15, the very first appearance of Spider-Man in the comics. You probably heard Charlie Cox as Daredevil. This is Daredevil wearing this version of a black suit, like his lo-fi black suit in this universe. It is meant to take place in a different universe. That's why you're also seeing Iron Man in the events of Captain America Civil War going on with slightly different costumes from the heroes during this. Like, this footage is meant to be the airport battle from Captain America Civil War just in this universe. Notice that Spider-Man is not there, which is a clear example of how they're changing the timeline of how things develop for Spider-Man in this universe. He gets his spider bite from a portal where this version of Doctor Strange, who looks like the Steve Ditko Doctor Strange, is fighting this character that looks like Venom or Shathra, depending on who you think it is. I have not seen the episodes. There are a couple people out there that got to see all the episodes so far, so maybe somebody will clarify what's going on with this particular character. The whole thing with the spider that bit him coming from another universe is also very Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They just did with Miles Morales. Even though this trailer hypes up a lot of changes to classic comic book villains, like they're showing them in slightly new ways, some of them are very, very clear adaptations of certain characters. We get our first big Iron Man reference. Notice it looks like a more modern version of his armor too, because this is meant to be set in present day, and of course Iron Man in this universe would be selling merch based on himself. Notice the airport battle from Captain America Civil War looks almost exactly like it did during the Captain America Civil War movie that we saw in the MCU, with a couple minor changes. Captain America's suit is a little bit different. Ant-Man is still grabbing Rhodey, War Machine there like he did in the actual movie, but otherwise I think the scene is meant to be fairly accurate to the live-action MCU version of Captain America Civil War, just minus Spider-Man, because it seems like he's sitting here watching it on this television or this pad here. All because one of the big changes in this universe is that instead of Iron Man becoming his mentor like he did with the Robert Downey Jr. version of the MCU, it winds up being Norman Osborn Green Goblin that becomes his mentor, so it's a way darker spin on that whole relationship. Later in the trailer, Norman Osborn says, "Together we'll do great things," with a very, very dark bend to it. Like, this will definitely not end well. You will definitely end up fighting your mentor when he becomes full Green Goblin. probably by the end of the series. This is also why they said they changed the series so that they could do crazy stuff like that, and they could do the Future Foundation suit, which now they're calling the Oscorp suit because Norman Osborn helps create this for him. So it's sort of like his version of that first Iron Man suit that Iron Man made for him, like the first tech suit, but it's Norman Osborn doing it. I also wouldn't be surprised that the Fantastic Four also exist in this universe in present day already on this Earth. I talked about this before, but stylistically, they also wanted it to feel more like it was literally ripped off the comic book pages, so that's why they're animating some of this to look like it literally is comic book pages inside the actual series. Cue the moment in the promo where you actually see them like they're thumbing through the long boxes through different comics back to the beginning of the Spider-Man comic book box, because they say that they're drawing a lot from the Steve Ditko original 60s era of Spider-Man. A lot of these comic book covers that they go across are actual real-life comic book covers that they just animate to look like they're part of this series. Spider-Man in the black costume under the origin of Spider-Man, I think, is meant to be a sly wink at the different origin story that involves this character that looks like Venom. Like, this from the 60s isn't meant to be a version of Venom with this black suit. It's just meant to be him blacked out because it's meant to tell you the mystery of the origin of Spider-Man. But in the context of the series, it seems like Venom might have something to do with his origin story. Making his mechanical web shooters, his organic webbing fluid. This character that he looks like he's wrestling in the lo-fi suit before he finishes making his original proto suit looks a little bit like Bonesaw McGraw. There's the picture of this version of Norman Osborn voiced by Coleman Domingo with Captain America, meaning that Norman Osborn in this universe, Oscorp, is tied up with the government. Maybe Oscorp supplies some of the gear, some of the weapons, the technology that the Avengers in this universe use. They did release the full version of the theme song, and it is meant to be a version of the classic 1960s Spider-Man TV show theme song, just updated for modern day.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can.
I can't put the entire song in this video just for copyright reasons, but I did put the full version of the song on my Twitter account, so I'll put a link for that down in the description below. This person flying over him in the middle of the street is meant to be a version of Speed Demon from the comics. And because Charlie Cox is doing his version of Daredevil, I wouldn't be surprised if Vincent D'Onofrio shows up in the background as a version of Kingpin as well too. Kingpin would exist in this universe, like it wouldn't make sense if he didn't exist, but the way that Vincent D'Onofrio explained it, there's like a weird rights situation that gets into a lot of the Sony stuff with the way they share stuff in the movies, but I think they're free and clear to do stuff like that on TV shows. It's just when it comes to movies, that's when it gets a little more complicated. All the rights for the movie characters are a little bit different from the way the TV rights exist. That is one of the reasons why Marvel can do so many Spider-Man TV shows, particularly in animation, without getting Sony's approval for it. Doctor Strange does the multiple arms trick like we saw him do during Avengers Infinity War. This version of Scorpion looks closer to comic book Scorpion, like he has the full suit on, but notice he has the Scorpion tattoo and he has the scars around his shoulders here where you see the edges of the suit. Maybe that has something to do with him becoming the Scorpion in the first place, like the suit itself causes this scarring on him. We get a way more comic book accurate version of Dr. Octopus, who's going to be voiced by Hugh Dancy, who most of you probably remember from Hannibal. He's done a bunch of other stuff too. We get a much longer scene of Spider-Man in his Oscorp suit fighting Daredevil and seeing how Daredevil deals with his webbing, just basically ducking all around it because of his radar sense, then saying that that is real cool. That's what he's talking about when he says, yeah, that's pretty cool that I can do that. This character with the beam coming out of her headgear is meant to be a version of a unicorn from the comics, I think. And when it comes to Nico, because she's wearing that special necklace, I would not be surprised if she either already knows magic or she's gonna learn to use magic during the series and just hasn't told anyone yet. And it's just a parallel for Spider-Man trying to figure out how to keep his secret and who he tells that he is Spider-Man. All because instead of Ned Leeds being his best friend during this, it's gonna wind up being Nico. But I think instead of being the man in the chair like Ned Leeds is, Nico will actually eventually either have powers or she already secretly has powers. They confirm this character is a version of Pearl Panigan from the comics. She's his love interest in the more recent comics, so I think it's just meant to be a spin on the Mary Jane relationship in the MCU, like MJ in the MCU, instead it's Pearl in this universe. She does become a Wave in the comics, but I don't think they're going to do that on this show. I think she's just meant to be the regular love interest, like she'll just be a regular person on this show. One of the other big twists here too is that Amadeus Cho is one of the professors at his school. He looks a little bit younger. I don't know if he's going to become a version of the Hulk during this series though. We will see. I think maybe they're just kind of teasing the idea. Maybe eventually he'll become a version of the Hulk. There's a lot of evil laughter in the background of this one shot, like mysterious evil laughter, which sounds like it could be Green Goblin, but I don't know if Norman Osborn has already turned into Green Goblin when the series begins, or if we're going to see that happen over the course of the season. This person with the white hair, the mustache, and the Oscorp tablet seems like a version of Henry Balkin from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, who was then written into the comics. Like, he didn't start in the comics, he started in the movies, and then got written into the comics. There's a much bigger scene here with the Scorpion and a couple other villains charging with a couple townspeople at a couple of his schoolmates too, and other townspeople. So it just seems like there's a big brawl in the streets, and some of the villains of the series are involved in the fight. The whole scene with this Venom-looking creature attacking all the people is meant to be at the very beginning of the series at Midtown High. It serves as his origin story where the spider comes through the portal and then bites him, giving him his powers. A lot of the movie actors are coming back to play their characters again, but this Doctor Strange voiceover does not sound like Benedict Cumberbatch. Like, it's very close to him, but it might just be a sound-alike actor who's doing the character. But like it says, episodes are starting next week, so my video for episodes 1 and 2 will post after they release it. What I'll probably do is just like one video for all the episodes they release on a particular day. Some days it'll just be 2 episodes, some days it'll be 3 episodes. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff, and all those Super Bowl trailers in a couple weeks, and Invincible episodes after that too. Everybody click here for that brand new Avengers Doomsday announcement, and click here for all my Daredevil Born Again trailer videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.